Hi everybody, today I make a 4 SLI of GeForce GTX 970 Asus Strix. Cette vidéo est disponible en français ici. Questa video è disponibile in italiano qui. For this 4 SLI, I use GeForce GTX 970 Asus Strix, beautiful gaming graphic cards with a Silent Gaming air cooling. On a great configuration with an Intel Core i7-5930K overclocked at 4 GHz, an hexacore CPU with 15 megabits of cache, and 40 LANs PCI Express. If you don't know what is LAN PCI Express, see my video 5820K vs 5930K here. With 16 GB of DDR4 at 3000 MHz. For the motherboard I have an MSI X99S X-Power AC, a very practical overclocking motherboard with the PCI Express switch for turning on or off the PCI Express slot and not keeping remove GPUs. For air cooled I have only Be Quiet, very beautiful air cooling. And for the power supply, I need a huge power for the 4 SLI. I have an Enamax Platimax 1350 watt. So let's see performance on AMA 3, Far Cry 4 and 3D Mark. On AMA 3 with ultra settings, for 1 GPUs we get 27 FPS, for 2 GPUs we get 40 FPS, for 3 GPUs we get 47 FPS, and for 4 GPUs we get 50 FPS. On Far Cry 4 with ultra settings, we get for 1 GPUs 29 FPS, for 2 GPUs 57 FPS, for 3 GPUs we get 61 FPS, and for 4 GPUs we get 63 FPS. So for the consumption, for 1 GPU we get an average at 350 watts and a maximum at 400 watts. For 2 GPUs, an average at 500 watts and a maximum at 600 watts. For 3 GPUs, we get an average at 700 watts and a maximum at 900 watts. For 4 GPUs, we get an average at 800 watts and a maximum at 1000 watts. So power supply very huge recommend. For 3D Mark benchmark, I can compare with my old video about the 3-way SLI of GeForce GTX 970 Strix with the 5820K, so with only 28 LANs PCI Express. So I can compare SLI with 28 LANs PCI Express and SLI with 40 LANs PCI Express with the 5930K now. So let's go. For 1 GPU with 28 LAN CPU, we get on 1 GPU 16 connection and we get 9000 points on 3D Mark. For 40 LANs PCI Express CPU, we get 10,000 points with 16 connection. With 2 GPU with 28 LANs, we get 1 GPU with 16 connection and the second GPU with 8 connection. We get 12,500 points on 3D Mark. For 40 LANs PCI Express CPU, we get the 2 GPUs with 16 connection and we get 15,500 points on 3D Mark. For 3 GPU with 28 LANs CPU, we get the 3 GPU with 8 connection and 40,000 points on 3D Mark. For 40 LANs PCI Express CPU, we get 2 GPU with 16 connection and 1 GPU with 8 connection. We get 19,500 points on 3D Mark. For 4 GPU with 28 LANs PCI Express CPU, we can support 4-way SLI. For 40 LANs PCI Express CPU, we get 22,000 points on 3D Mark with 1 GPU with 16 connection and the other with 8. You can see the 4 GPU have a huge performance, but they don't work at the maximum because CPU get only 40 LANs PCI Express and can give more. When we put more than 2 GPUs, some GPUs work with only 8 connection and they need to have a 16 connection for work with the maximum bandwidth. So in the future maybe CPU will get 64 LANs, but for this moment the best Intel CPU get only 40 LANs, the second 28 and the other 16 LANs. In conclusion, For SLI of GeForce GTX 970 Asus Strix, so $1,600 GPUs, gets a very huge performance. But they're limited by the processor's length and can't work at the maximum. So it's very beautiful to do this, but just for fun because they consume a lot and get too high temperatures. So it's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like it, subscribe to my channel for see other huge performance video. See you soon and Happy New Year 2016.